It was the moment no one expected to see. Kody Brown, the once unshakable patriarch of sister wives, breaking down in front of millions as he confronted the haunting truth about his fractured family. With his voice trembling and tears streaming down his face, Kody opened up about the pain of realizing how his choices as a husband and father may have driven his loved ones away. In an emotional, televised confession, he peeled back the layers of pride and control that once defined him, exposing a side of Kody that fans have never seen before. A man finally facing his regrets and the heavy cost of losing not just his wives, but the hearts of his children. For years, Sister Wives viewers have seen Kody Brown project a strong image of patriarchal confidence, the man who once believed he could hold a plural family together through sheer willpower and faith. Yet, in one of the most emotional and vulnerable moments of his reality television journey, the mask finally slipped. On national television, Kody's voice cracked and tears filled his eyes as he admitted that the price of his decisions over the years went far beyond the end of his marriages. He revealed with raw honesty that he didn't just lose 3 wives, he lost the bond he once cherished with his children. What unfolded was not a scripted reality moment, but the kind of real human breakdown that struck viewers to their core. The man who once spoke about leadership and spiritual duty now sat in front of the cameras as a father in anguish, confessing that his actions had pushed away the people he loved most. Kody's admission didn't come lightly. Over the course of the latest Sister Wives episodes, fans had already sensed the emotional unraveling behind his stoic front. The ongoing dissolution of his relationships with Christine, Janelle, and Mary had exposed not only cracks in his marriages, but fractures in his identity as a father. While he had once preached the virtues of plural marriage and unity, those ideals began to crumble as the family splintered into separate lives. Christine's departure was the catalyst, but it wasn't the end. As Janelle distanced herself and Mary quietly stepped away, what remained was Kody's monogamous relationship with Robin, and even that became strained under the weight of guilt and loss. In his tearful moment on screen, Kody admitted that he had spent so much time fighting to control the family's direction that he forgot to simply love and listen. He confessed that the hardest part wasn't watching his marriages end. It was realizing that his children no longer saw him as their protector or guide. Kody strained relationships with several of his older kids, particularly those from his marriages to Christine and Janelle, have been a recurring theme in recent seasons. The deep rift between him and his sons Garrison and Gabriel came to symbolize a broader breakdown that went beyond family politics. As Kody described it, every argument and every distance grew from his need to feel respected. But in that pursuit, he had failed to understand that respect cannot be demanded. It must be earned through compassion. He said that somewhere along the way, his fatherhood became about authority instead of connection, and that realization brought him to tears. The confession left even the production crew silent, as Kody, usually animated and defensive, struggled to hold himself together. His words flowed with remorse as he described watching his children grow into adults who no longer reached out to him for comfort or guidance. He admitted that the pandemic had worsened the distance, but his own stubbornness had turned temporary separation into emotional exile. Fans who have watched the show for over a decade felt the weight of that moment, remembering the early days when Kody was a laughing, joking father surrounded by a sea of kids and wives who once looked to him with admiration. The contrast between that image and the tearful, broken man before them was haunting. Christine Brown, who was among the first to leave the marriage, had long spoken about the emotional void in their relationship, and in her interviews she hinted that Kody's controlling tendencies had extended beyond his wives to the way he parented. When she left, she said she did so not just for herself, but for her children, to give them a home where they could feel seen and valued. Her decision appeared to have forced Kody to look inward, and it was that reflection that brought him to his televised confession. For the first time, he seemed to fully understand that his attempts to preserve the family through authority had only accelerated its collapse. The cameras caught every flicker of pain as Kody reflected on the years of trying to manage multiple households, the endless conflicts about loyalty, and the slow erosion of unity that came from jealousy and unspoken resentment. He admitted that he had once viewed himself as the family's anchor, but now realized he might have been the storm. In his words, he said that losing his wives was painful, but watching his children emotionally detach from him was unbearable. He said that, "I thought we were holding us together, but maybe I was the one breaking us apart." Fans took to social media to share their reactions to the episode, with many expressing empathy for Kody's vulnerability, while others pointed out that the remorse might have come too late. Some viewers said that for the first time, they saw a human side to him, stripped of ego and defensiveness. Others, however, couldn't forget the years of tension and perceived emotional neglect that had led to this moment. Christine's supporters, in particular, saw the scene as validation of her decision to leave. They believed Kody's tears reflected the consequences of his choices rather than newfound wisdom. But no matter how one interpreted it, no one could deny the power of the moment.
Janelle Brown's earlier interviews added another layer of complexity. She had once described Kody as a father who loved his children deeply, but didn't always know how to show it in healthy ways. She said that his need for structure and control often overshadowed the nurturing side of him. During the pandemic, those differences became magnified. Kody's strict rules about distancing caused massive conflicts with his older children, particularly the sons who felt alienated by his decisions. When those disagreements escalated, so did the silence. Kody admitted during his breakdown that he allowed pride to stop him from reaching out sooner. "I kept thinking they'd come around," he said, "but they didn't, and I didn't either." What struck viewers most was Kody's acknowledgement that his pursuit of spiritual leadership had come at the expense of emotional intimacy. He said he once believed that being a father meant enforcing principles, not necessarily being a friend. Now, as he watches his children drift away, he realizes that being a father means showing love even when it feels undeserved. It was a level of humility rarely seen from him, and it changed the tone of the show entirely. Even Robin, who has often been criticized by fans for her perceived favoritism, appeared visibly shaken as she watched Kody break down. She placed a hand on his shoulder, whispering softly that she hoped the family could still heal. The confession seemed to be a turning point, not just for Kody, but for the narrative of Sister Wives itself. For years, the show revolved around the complexities of plural marriage, jealousy, communication breakdowns, and cultural expectations. But in this moment, it became something more universal. It was about a father confronting the pain of alienation, a man stripped of the roles that once defined him, and a family forced to navigate love after disconnection. Kody's admission that he lost more than wives resonated deeply with anyone who has experienced estrangement or regret. The tears he shed weren't performative, they were the physical manifestation of years of internal conflict coming to the surface. As the episode continued, Kody spoke about his hopes of reconciliation. He said he dreams of sitting down with his kids again, not as the patriarch they once feared disappointing, but as a father simply asking for a second chance. He admitted that rebuilding trust would take years, but he was willing to start from scratch. Viewers could see that the weight of isolation had finally caught up with him. He confessed that while Robin had been his emotional anchor through the chaos, even she couldn't fill the void left by his children's absence. He said, "Robin sees my pain, but she can't replace the love of my kids." Many longtime fans have followed Kody's transformation with fascination, watching as the man who once thrived on control became a figure of deep regret. His breakdown marked the culmination of more than a decade of televised family drama, but it also revealed something new, a possibility for growth. Whether or not his children choose to forgive him remains uncertain, but this level of honesty was a start. Christine, in her interviews, said she hopes Kody truly means it this time and that he doesn't use guilt as a way to reassert control. Janelle echoed that sentiment, saying that healing requires consistency, not just tears. The emotional ripple from Kody's confession extended beyond the family itself. For fans who have been divided in their opinions about him, it forced a reevaluation. Some saw a broken man trying to rebuild from the wreckage of his choices, while others felt he was only lamenting the loss of power rather than love. Still, there was something undeniably human about his breakdown. It was the kind of moment that transcends reality television and touches the raw core of human experience: regret, longing, and the desire to make things right. As the cameras faded on his tear-streaked face, the silence that followed spoke volumes. For once, Kody Brown didn't have an answer or a justification. He didn't speak of destiny or leadership. He simply said, "I lost more than wives. I lost my family." That sentence lingered long after the episode ended, reverberating through fan discussions and interviews in the days that followed. It was a painful truth that even his critics couldn't deny. The episode became one of the most talked about moments in Sister Wives history, trending across social media platforms and reigniting debates about responsibility and redemption. Some fans called for a reconciliation special focused solely on Kody and his children, while others wondered whether the damage had gone too far to repair. Regardless of the outcome, the emotional honesty displayed marked a significant shift for both the man and the show. In the weeks after the episode aired, Kody reportedly began reaching out privately to his estranged children. While no official statements were made by the family, insiders hinted that small steps had been taken towards mending the rifts. Christine and Janelle have both expressed that they support any effort toward healing, even if they no longer wish to be part of the plural dynamic. For them, seeing Kody express remorse was a validation of years of pain finally acknowledged. What makes Kody's confession so impactful is that it reflects a universal truth about family relationships. They are fragile, built on trust and communication, and when those elements break down, love alone isn't enough to sustain them. Kody's journey from pride to humility is one that many can relate to, even outside the context of polygamy. His breakdown is not just a moment of despair, it's a reflection of the emotional consequences of neglect and misunderstanding. As the Sister Wives story continues, Kody's willingness to confront his failures could become the foundation of a new chapter, one less about multiple marriages and more about individual healing. The tears that fell on national television might very well be the first real sign of change in a man who has long struggled between his ideals and his heart. Whether that change endures remains to be seen, but for fans who have waited years to see accountability from Kody Brown, this moment felt raw, real, and unforgettable. In that tearful confession, Kody Brown didn't just expose his regrets, he exposed his humanity. And for the first time in a long time, Sister Wives became not just a story about polygamy, it became a story about a father learning, too late, what love truly means.
For years, Sister Wives has offered audiences a glimpse into the complicated emotional terrain of plural marriage, a world built on shared faith, shared love, and, too often, shared heartbreak. But now, David Woolley, Christine Brown's husband, has shattered the polished illusion that has long surrounded Kody Brown's polygamous lifestyle. In a revealing and emotional new confession, David didn't hold back. He laid bare the quiet suffering, emotional neglect, and deep-rooted flaws that he says make polygamy more destructive than divine. His words have sent shockwaves through the Sister Wives fan community and reignited fierce debate about whether Kody Brown's experiment in plural love was doomed from the start. When Christine Brown walked away from her 25-year spiritual marriage to Kody, she didn't just end a relationship, she ended a belief system. For years, she had sacrificed her sense of self to a structure that demanded her obedience, patience, and emotional endurance. Her journey toward independence was one of the most powerful arcs in Sister Wives history. But what no one expected was that the man who would stand by her side after it all, David Woolley, would become one of the most honest and outspoken critics of the very lifestyle that once defined her. In a candid conversation that fans can't stop talking about, David spoke with a mix of empathy and passion.
What I've seen, he began, is that polygamy looks peaceful from the outside, but inside those families, there's so much silent suffering. It's not about love or connection, it's about one man trying to control too many hearts. His words hit like a hammer, not out of malice, but out of truth. For David, watching Christine rebuild her life has been both inspiring and heartbreaking. He's seen the scars left behind by years of emotional neglect, the way she once second-guessed her worth, the way she fought for crumbs of attention in a system designed to make women compete. Christine's heart was always too big, David shared. She gave everything she had, but polygamy kept taking and taking until there was nothing left for her. Her voice reportedly wavered as he reflected on how long it took her to realize she deserved more. Fans of Sister Wives have always suspected that the emotional burden of plural marriage fell unevenly on the women. Through the seasons, viewers watched Christine struggle to feel loved while Kody's affection gravitated toward Robin. They saw her confide in Janelle, clash with Mary, and ultimately reach a breaking point that forced her to choose peace over pain. David's confession now gives those moments a deeper context, one rooted in compassion for the women and accountability for the system that broke them. It's not love if one person is always giving up their happiness to keep the peace, David said in his interview. You can't ask someone to share their heart and still expect them to feel whole. His words resonated with Christine's longtime supporters, many of whom took to social media to praise him for articulating what they had always felt watching the show. David said what Christine couldn't for years, one fan commented. He's giving voice to all the women who suffered in silence while pretending everything was fine. What makes David's statement even more powerful is how gently he speaks about Christine's past. He doesn't condemn her choices or her faith. Instead, he acknowledges the strength it took for her to walk away. She believed in what she was taught, he explained. She wanted to build a family that made everyone happy. But when you realize that happiness isn't being shared, that's when you have to start over. For Christine, that moment came when her laughter stopped feeling real and her home stopped feeling like her own. Since leaving Kody, Christine has embraced a freedom she never knew was possible. Her relationship with David stands as a symbol of everything polygamy denied her: mutual respect, emotional intimacy, and unconditional love. Their joy together has been infectious, with fans watching her rediscover her smile through social media posts filled with road trips, family gatherings, and tender moments that contrast sharply with the tension-filled years of Sister Wives. But David's openness about the darker side of polygamy isn't just about Christine. It's about the countless women who have lived under the same structure, believing that suffering was spiritual growth. It's heartbreaking, he said. I've seen women lose themselves trying to live by rules that weren't made for them. They call it faith, but it's really just control. And it's not right.